What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. And I forgot the tablet again. That's because I'm so super qualified for the job. Actually, karma. got me in the butt today, and I only say karma, I don't know what else to call it, but last night I kind of just did that one article and shot out the back door, as I like to say. And yeah, tonight I have got a ton of articles, but I want to start out talking about man versus machine. You know, and there's two folks with the same name I want to mention first and foremost before we get to the idiocracy part of what I have to say. I got a serious request from a gentleman by the name of John Henry and his dog daughter Hope. She was attacked by a dog that was just running around, and so took the dog to the vet. This is something that happened here locally. Took the dog to the vet, and so they treated her at the local animal hospital. Sent them on their way, and so he took her back in for a checkup today, and they decided that they wanted to keep her overnight, and apparently Hope is having surgery in the morning, so just crazy. What's even more crazy, I'll get to that in a second, but mainly I want to ask for prayers for both John and for his dog daughter Hope. Because they're both, well, of course, Hope's in bad shape. She had some pretty nasty looking puncture wounds from the attack, and Buddy John is beside himself, understandably why. So they could both use your prayers, and I would certainly appreciate it. In another bit attached to that, it's really sad, and it exemplifies why it is that I am doing what I am doing, because he has brought this issue to the attention of law enforcement, but because he's not one of the popular names in town, or he's not one of the wealthy families or anything like that, they won't do nothing. And everybody except for, well, I don't know if John knows who it is that owns the dog at this point or not, because all of that's been really kind of crazy. But law enforcement has absolutely zero interest in doing anything about it. And this is just par for the course here. It's the way that it has always been for me. Anytime that I sought them, no, they couldn't help. So it's definitely one of those towns that's got a good avoid network that needs to be rooted out. So anyway, aside from that, what I was originally starting to talk about, man versus machine, I think these days man would get his butt kicked. I was thinking about that, and I thought back to the old legend, John Henry. As a matter of fact, was his name as well. He was an African-American folk hero known for taking on a machine when it came to, drilling a hole faster than what a machine could. And the legend says that he absolutely did do it. This was a gentleman, this happened after the Civil War. They say he was the strongest, fastest, and most powerful man working on the railroad. And while I won't argue that, not for a second, today I think things might fare a little differently. And the reason why is because that video I posted earlier today, I put 2.5 days into editing that video. I put quite a bit into editing that video. And if you know me, you know I hate editing video. 2.5 days to get that video finished. You know what Adobe Media Encoder took to encode, to process that video so that I could post it? Less than 2.5 minutes. I'm telling you, machine would kick our asses today. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of humorous. I do have quite a bit of stuff to go over tonight. Much of it related to war, unfortunately. Hey, but there is an upside. We do have a story about Viagra. So, and we've got, like I say, quite a bit about war and NVIDIA and AI. Kind of an interesting article there. So, wow, craziness. Crazy. Trying to think if there's anything else. It seems that video is pretty well received. It seems like my attempts here locally are being well received. And that's great. That is great. I've had a couple of people reach out to me. Man, I am really excited about this. I really, truly am. It's the only way that I see that I can do my part. I can't run for office. I've got too much of a screwed up past, too much of a screwed up present, and so me running is out of the question. But I will most certainly help others in any way I can run and help individuals get into a position to where we can fix this good old boy network problem we have here. So it's probably not going to be well received by some in town, but I really don't care. It keeps going over and over in my head about the particular officer at the time telling me about how I was the common denominator of the problems that were going on in the neighborhood. And not so much. Now my now ex-wife, that was the common denominator. I find it humorous though, because he stood in my driveway telling me that I was the common denominator of the issues. And I look at the town and I look at what's going on, and lo and behold, guess who's the common denominator of the issues? So while he tried to run me out of town, failed by the way, now it's my turn, and I don't fail. So it's going to be an interesting ride, to say the least. So anyway, like I say, I've got I've got a ton of this stuff to cover with you, so let's jump on. Oh, I never did even bring my tablet out because, hey, I am just on the ball. Here we go. Coffee. All right. Howdy, Leo. Let's see here. French army ready for war, says top general. So they are really beating this hard. Says here, France is ready to face whatever developments unfold internationally, and it's prepared for the toughest engagements to protect itself, the chief of staff of the French army, General Pierre Schill, said in an interview published on Tuesday. In recent weeks, French President Emmanuel Macron has repeatedly refused to rule out Western troops being sent to Ukraine at some point to help Kiev in its fight against Moscow, which he described as an adversary of Paris. France's forces are ready, Schill told Le Monde, stressing that whatever the developments in the international situation, the French can be convinced their soldiers will respond. Schill said France has international responsibilities and is linked by defense agreements to states exposed to major threats, and must therefore have its forces trained and interoperable, I'll get it right, with allied armies. He added that nuclear deterrence is not a universal guarantee because it does not guard against conflicts that would remain below the threshold of vital interests. Schill said that the Army must show itself a credible force through responsiveness in terms of force projection and the ability to carry out operations of increased scope. The general said that France currently has the capacity to commit a division of around 20,000 men within 30 days and has the means to command an army corps of up to 60,000, which includes allied divisions. Like how he just throws the other countries in. In an interview with the TF1 and France 2 channels last week, President Macron said that France is not waging war on Russia by supporting Kiev, but labeled Russia as an adversary and has stood by his remarks that a potential deployment of NATO troops to the country would not be excluded. So, don't you love their word games that they like to play? Oh, it's not war. This isn't war. We're just sending people shooting at you in advisory positions. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely nonsense. Now this is coming from one of their top generals. Russia is saying, at least folks with Russia, are saying that they're absolutely preparing to deploy. And I tend to believe that. I think they are. I think that's very likely. And yeah, we'll get to the iPhone thing in a moment. But I'll give you a little spoiler. The thumbnail image is a little bit melodramatic. Let's see. It says here, France is preparing its forces for deployment to Ukraine. The head of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, Sergei Naryshkin, claimed in a statement on Tuesday. Paris allegedly seeks to send as many as 2,000 troops to Ukraine, he said. French President Emmanuel Macron said last month that he cannot exclude the possibility of Western soldiers being sent to aid Kiev in his fight against Moscow, branding Russia an adversary while denying Paris was waging war against it. Russia's military and top officials have repeatedly pointed to the presence of French mercenaries already fighting for Kiev on the ground. In mid-January, the Russian Defense Ministry said that more than 60 foreigners, predominantly French nationals, had been killed in a high-precision strike against a temporary assembly point of foreign fighters. In a statement on Tuesday, the SVR chief said that French armed forces had become concerned about the rising number of French nationals dying in Ukraine. The casualty level has supposedly surpassed the psychological threshold and could trigger protests, the statement said, adding that Macron's government was concealing this information and delaying the moment it would have to be revealed. According to the spy chief, the French military is worried about the government's plans to send the contingent to Ukraine, considering that such an operation would be difficult to conduct without Russia noticing. The French soldiers would indeed become a legitimate priority target for attacks by the Russian armed forces, Naryshkin said. So I really do think that this is very likely. Now, I want to take a pause here, and I want to bring something else up. So, I have to go back to the whole John Teeter story. And I think I still have that playlist. Let me check, because I don't want to tell you that I got something and I don't have it. So let me just take a quick peek here, because the thing is, I think maybe Jay Snip's original channel was nuked. I think. And if that's the case, then I may not have that any longer. See, I see a Jay Snip, I see a playlist here, but yeah. I don't think that there's going to be any videos. No. Four unavailable videos are hidden. No videos in this playlist yet. So I believe what happened was, I think his channel got nuked, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's what happened to those. I do think that he's got them on his new channel. I think he re-uploaded them. However, I also, because, it's the way of men. I saved a copy as well. And I will have to. I guess I had 4 videos in that. I think that's how many there are. I've got a copy of them. And what I will do is I will upload them to the website, and that way folks can see them or download them as they choose. That way I won't get YouTube copyrighted from old Snipperoo, because, that dude, I don't know about him anymore. anyway, he covered John Teeter, which is a guy that claimed to be a time traveler. And I'm not asking you to buy all that. I'm not quite sure how much I buy all that. But the thing of it is, did he really call some stuff out. And I've been sitting there watching and remembering his claims, John Teeter's claims. And I've sat here and watched it play out. And it's astonishing at how accurate he is. Well, and again, this is a total side mark, or whatever you want to call it. It's out of nowhere. During his interviews that he had, he brings up planes, and there being a bunch of plane issues with planes, and he wasn't real sure exactly, how that played out, but there was a bunch of issues with planes. And lo and behold, there is a bunch of issues with planes right now. So, and there were several things that he mentioned that happened right shortly before a big war, and I take it as a nuclear-involved war. And a bunch of incidents with planes was one of them. And another one of the things is, and I don't really see how this is playing out yet, and I'm putting that big old yet there with an asterisk, because, hey, fat lady hadn't sang yet. And he said something was messed up with the election, and he didn't know for sure who wound up elected, and it was either a he or a she. And I'm saying election, I should have said presidency. I'm not going to say necessary election. Presidency. And he was foggy because he couldn't quite, I guess, recall whether it was a man or a woman. And, I sat there, and that's one of the things, that's one of the puzzle pieces that I'm currently watching out for. Because, if old Joe kicks the bucket, then we got, Cackler in chief, and, Camel Toe, and, I don't know, yeah, it's, not a beautiful day in America, Anyway, I just wanted to mention that little side note, because, I don't know, just felt like I needed to. So anyway, back to what actually is in the news. Let's see. Okay, pretty well covered that, I do believe. Let's see. EU boss calls for war economy. This is something we need to take note of as well. It says here the EU must drastically ramp up defense production to help Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, European Council President Charles, I think that's Michel, said on Monday. The call comes as Kiev is increasingly warned of ammunition shortages. In an op-ed published by the Le Libre Belgique newspaper and the Euractiv website, Michel claimed that Moscow is a serious military threat to our European continent and global security. Well, thank goodness they're not a threat to our democracy, like we've heard a billion times over and over. If we do not get the EU's response right and do not give Ukraine enough support to stop Russia, we are next, he added. Well, first off, homie, I don't think you can give Ukraine enough to win against Russia. I'm just saying. Said that from day one. The EU Council chief, and I'm not like carrying a Russian flag around or nothing. I'm carrying around the flag of common sense. That's it. The EU Council chief argued that for decades Europe has failed to invest sufficiently in our security and defense and now urgently needs a radical and irreversible shift into our thinking toward a strategic security mindset. The bloc's defense production has increased by 50% since the start of the Ukraine conflict in February 2022, Mikkel said, adding that the bloc will double ammunition production to over 2 billion shells yearly by the end of next year. And by the way, I don't think that that's going to do Ukraine a whole lot of good. The EU has been struggling to procure enough weapons and ammunition for Kiev's needs as Ukrainian and international politicians and experts, as well as soldiers on the battlefield, are blaming shortages for the losses of territory to Russia. Always someone else's or something's fault. The shipments were further delayed when U.S. President Joe Biden's $61 billion aid package stalled in Congress. I thought it was $60 billion. Did they throw another one in there? Nah, it's just another billion. Delayed when U.S. President... stalled in Congress due to political infighting between Democrats and Republicans. Yeah, because the people have no say. The bill remains in limbo due to opposition from GOP legislators. The situation with the supply of Western air defense systems to Kiev is particularly dire, according to the New York Times. The newspaper cited an official U.S. assessment in early February, which stated without replenishment, Ukraine's air defenses could operate only until March 2024. Man, you know, the whole thing of just taking the warning labels off and letting nature run its course, well, the kind of same thing applies here. Need to stop sending money and arms and let nature run its course. Look, there's not going to be any other outcome. And the more we fight against, the more of a chance that NATO, and I know that's what they want, but more of a chance that NATO is going to be head-to-head. I don't know. But again, that's what they want anyway. They thought your life might have been doing a little bit better, so they want to fix that. And by a little bit better, I mean, nah, not at all. Let's see. Ukraine's survival in danger, says Pentagon chief. Well, they need to give this man a raise. I've been saying this ever since the start of it. Why ain't I the head of Pentagon? Probably because I couldn't find my way around the building. Ukraine's very survival could be at stake unless the West sends more military aid, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said on Tuesday. The head of the Pentagon was in Germany for a meeting of the so-called Ukraine Defense Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base in his first overseas trip since his hospitalization in January. Today, Ukraine's survival is in danger and America's security is at risk. Well, thankfully, it doesn't say our democracy because, I mean, whenever you're talking about political opponents or even the American citizens, it's always a danger to our democracy. So, thankfully, they're not a danger to our democracy. I'm just saying. Anyway, keeping the weapons, equipment, and ammunition flowing is a matter of survival and sovereignty for Ukraine and a matter of honor and security for America, he added. Oh, yeah, well, you can call them sovereign, but if we call ourselves sovereign, you all want to wrestle us to the ground and lock us up. He did not say how the U.S. intends to support Ukraine without additional funding. The bill that would provide over $60 billion in assistance to... See, I told you 60. Some cat threw in an extra billion. In assistance to Kiev is still stuck in the U.S. House of Representatives. And it can stay stuck, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, heard enough. I don't want to hear about a threat to the democracy, because I know it's coming. No, we got a lot of headlines, so I'm kind of trying to move through them. Coffee. And I gotta have my coffee breaks because we wouldn't be a good union shop if I didn't. Oh wait, we don't have union? Oh, that's a bunch of bull. What the hell? I was working for a retirement, man. No 401k, no 301k, not even any damn vitamin K. Damn. All right. Germany announces 500 million euros military aid package for Ukraine. Well, see, they're taken care of. We don't need our 60 billion or 61, depending on Joe Biden's a little, anti there. Germany will supply Ukraine with 500 million euros, or 543 million dollarinos, worth of weapons and ammunition. Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, dude, punch your mom in the face, I'm telling you, announced on Tuesday. Despite shortages of manpower and ammo at home, Berlin has pledged to spend 7 billion euros on military aid for Kiev this year. We have once again put together an aid package worth almost €500 million, Pistorius told reporters at a meeting of the so-called Ukraine Defense Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base on Tuesday. The package will include 10,000 artillery shells from Bundeswehr, or German military, stocks, with deliveries to begin immediately, Pistorius said. 100 infantry vehicles and 100 unarmored vehicles will also be sent, the minister added. Oh, sweet, so we get to watch more stuff get blown up on Russian video. Germany will also purchase 180,000 shells from non-EU suppliers as a part of a larger initiative led by the Czech Republic, and another 100,000 directly from defense contractors, Pistorius announced. Germany is Ukraine's second largest Western backer, behind only the U.S. To date, Berlin has given Kiev 22 billion euros, or 23.7 billion dollarinos, in assistance, including 17.7 billion in military aid, according to figures compiled by the Kiel Institute for the World Economy. When aid transferred via the EU is included, Germany has handed over a total of 28 billion euros to Ukraine, Chancellor Olaf Scholz said in February. This is just nonsense. It really needs to turn that faucet off, man. So, what about the iPhones, man? Hang on, we're getting there. iPhones won't work in case of World War III, says Russian MP. Well, no, homie, but probably not for the reason you're worried about. Says here, Western smartphones could stop working in Russia if the Ukraine conflict turns into a global war. Anton Gorlikin, deputy head of Russian State Duma's Information Policy Committee, warned in an interview posted to the YouTube channel Telega Reality. According to the MP, if the conflict moves to another stage, everyone will up the stakes, including the tech companies. I'm talking about something that some experts call World War III. In this scenario, I fully expect that Apple will disable all iPhones, in the Russian Federation, and Google will disable non-jailbroken Android phones, he stated. He warned that in such a case, and by the way, it was technically the iPhones, the Apple devices that were jailbroke. The Android devices are what you call rooted. So kind of two different things. You can do pretty much the same thing with an Apple. You just have to. It's called jailbreaking it. So again, with the Android, it's more often referred to as rooting. He warned that in such a case, the Russian authorities and tech experts could retaliate with similar actions regarding Western tech companies, although he did not specify what these actions could be. Gorlikin has admitted that Russia currently has no alternatives to replace Western smartphones or the software they use. He predicted, however, that things may change in 5 to 10 years as Russia's IT sphere is rapidly developing, especially since the exit of a number of foreign companies from the country's market. Gorlikin is not the first person to suggest the possibility that Western gadgets will stop working in Russia. Various experts warn that such a scenario was technically possible for all devices that require software updates from companies abroad, or have the options to allow owners to remotely find and block a phone that has gone missing. However, so far, Western tech companies have stopped short of removing undesirable applications from their app stores and disabling the use of payment services Apple Pay and Google Pay on phones belonging to Russian users. Russian President Vladimir Putin recently weighed in on the possibility of the Ukraine conflict turning into a global war during a question and answer session at his campaign headquarters in Moscow on Sunday night. He commented on recent statements from members of the U.S.-led military bloc on the possibility of NATO troops being deployed in Ukraine. Putin said that such a move would be seen as direct confrontation between NATO and Russia, which would be one step shy of full-scale World War III. So, and I honestly have been thinking about this a lot lately, and for a multitude of reasons, not the phones, but drones. The United States has really came out against DJI, and they have been railing against them for some time. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before they put in some kind of legislation to where we can no longer use them, even for recreational use. And there are some hacks that you can buy online. I don't have the money to get them. I wish I did. But like drone hacks, it's not nothing super involved as far as the cost or how to do it. I used one for a short time, but not super long. Let me, here. So if you do have like a DJI drone or something, just keep this in mind. This is a possibility. Drone hacks. It's literally drone-hacks.com. Drone-hacks.com. And they've got like a little bird map here that you can click on. And whatever you got, I've got an Air 2, for instance, is the bigger one. They recommend, I guess, this one right here, which isn't the latest. But, which firmware is currently installed on your drone? Okay, well, I probably have the latest, because that's how I roll. And, you know, that's not always a good thing, not when it comes to this stuff. So, let's see. Downgrade to recommended firmware possible. License might be needed. DJI flyaway protection has to be disabled. So, I don't know, see, not available on this firmware is the NFC removal, and that's exactly what I would want to be able to remove. That bites. Yeah, see, it has to be disabled permanently by... See, I don't know if I can go back to, I don't know if I can go back or not to the 101.0610. I don't know if that's possible or not. But nonetheless, they have them here. As long as you don't update too much. You're good. Yeah, they're a little more expensive than what they used to be, so they upped the cost of them as well a little bit. 40 euros, I don't know what the hell that comes out to in US, but yeah. So that's one, and then there's, I think, a couple other, at least one other company that does it. I'll have to look them up and see if the choices for them is any better than what's going on. But I've thought about that because... You know, I would imagine either China or the United States could do something hanky when it comes to drones. So, I wished I wouldn't have kept it updated, man. But I do. I always do because I'm an idiot. I might be able to, though, one way or another, get it back down. Even if I had to connect with ADB and reinstall an older system firmware, if I could. I think I probably could. I think there's probably a way. Let's see. Howdy, Standing Foot. How you doing, brother? Oh, man. Crazy times, crazy times. Okay, German living standards in unprecedented post-World War II slump, says a report. So, yeah. Germany's 2022 living standards took the biggest downturn since World War II, a report released by the Forum for a New Economy on Monday has suggested. The decline is attributed to the energy shocks that sent prices for consumers soaring. And that was a fortunate thing here locally. I might have mentioned it last night, the short show I did, but it was part on the agenda for power increases, a rate increase. And so I was waiting for the big Bohica moment, right? But it didn't come, thankfully, because they clarified what this rate hike was, and it's not our per kilowatt hour usage that's going up. It's more or less like the fee for the meter itself. I don't know if it's going up to $4 or going up by $4. One of the two. Either way, I'd rather be looking at that than what I would the actual rate for per kilowatt hour going up. Because we got lucky during these past couple of years when most people's energy costs have went through the roof. Our electric stayed the same. And that was because of how our town does stuff. They buy electricity from Ameren in bulk and then resell it to us. And they're able to do that because we actually have our own power plant here in town that if they would ever need to, they can fire that puppy up and put it to work and power the town with it. I guess they probably have to have that equipment to do so in order to do what they do as far as buying in bulk and reselling to us. But nonetheless, we make out lucky on that because we don't get the price increases or the instability that people that have Ameren for service, for instance, do. So that's a good thing of it. There's a lot of good things about living here. A lot of good things. Anyway, goes on to say economists from the Berlin-based think tank highlighted that the decline in Germany's economic output recorded in 2022 is comparable to the financial crisis of 2008 and the short-lived decline during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The failure to protect the country's industrial sector from energy price spikes is expected to turn the 2020s into a lost decade for Germany, the analysts have warned, calling the crisis the worst economic downturn in the country since World War II. For years, Germany's prized industrial sector had been fueled by relatively inexpensive Russian gas. However, since the Ukraine conflict erupted in 2022, Berlin has opted to forego energy from Russia in favor of costlier alternatives, including American liquefied natural gas. According to the report, real wages measured against pre-crisis forecasts dropped by 4% from April 2022 to March 2023, while output declined by 4.1%. So they're definitely on a downward spiral. Now, I do want to mention something else. Going back to the power discussion at the city meeting last night, and I know I mentioned this last night for the brief show I did. But like everywhere else in the United States and much of the world, we are feeling a pinch when it comes to electrical transformers. And so, the pickings are getting kind of slim from understanding what was said in the meeting. Now, the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, I found out this evening that one of our local companies here manufactures transformers that could probably be used for the same thing or somehow be repurposed in a manner to be used for the same thing if push came to shove. So that's a good thing. that is a very, very good thing. Because if we have a company that produces different type, it's a different type of units, but they do produce big transformers. So to where, like, okay, the ones that most of us see, and most of us have in our towns and stuff, they're oil cooled. They've got oil inside of them. The ones that I'm referring to are air cooled. That's the difference. So more or less, you'd have to find some way to keep air constantly moving past the heat sink on it, the cooling fins, in order to keep them cool enough. But with a little bit of ingenuity and, want to, I'm sure it could happen. That's a good thing, though, because that means that we have a lot of the equipment, we have a lot of the knowledge, and all that right here local. So that if, the big old SHTF happens, again, we've got our own power plant. We've got the ability at least to manufacture some transformers. And I think we'll figure it out. If you saw that video I posted earlier, that's no joke. Our town is home to a whole lot of industry. And, man, I've said it a million times, and I'll keep saying it. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to live anywhere else. I really don't. This is just an incredible place. Well, in some aspects. In other aspects, it needs some help, but that's what we're trying to do. Okay. We have a couple of dates here. I got 3 more articles up. And then, of course, I get the headlines to read to you. I deserve some nicotine. Oh, I better put my watch on the charger. Yikes. Mark that up as the big too late. It already died. I'm surprised that thing still works. Why would they need me? Well, it's neither one of us are perfect. I actually, in a sense, I take that question a bit seriously. And I know you probably don't mean it so much seriously, but I have a very different approach to my way of thinking. And I think that different approach can be very beneficial, both in good times and bad, especially in bad times. And it's a great place. It truly is a great place. It has always, at least as far as I can remember, had some level of corruption, some level of tyranny, but I don't recall it being nearly as rampant as what it is right now. This place has a whole lot of potential, without a doubt, but it just needs some honest people, some willing people to take the reins and to remove the bad actors and to focus more on the people of the town. For the most part, though, the big thing is we've got the resources here. We've got a whole lot of resources here. And that's what matters. That's what counts. Because it's not so hard to get rid of bad actors. Not really. By hook or by crook. Not that hard. But if you don't have resources, or the availability to get resources, then that's a totally different story. So I know that wasn't probably a super serious question, but I do have a serious answer to it. Let's see. Oh, right on, man. Right on. Yeah, I mean, it just, I think a fresh approach, a different approach from a different angle, can sometimes be good for any place. And we've got a lot of brilliant people here, a lot of great people here. But I think a lot of the brilliance and a lot of the goodness is held back by the corruption and the tyranny. I really do. I do believe that. Let's see. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. Corruptors need Judgment Day, without a doubt, and it'll come. It'll come. One way or another, it'll come. Netanyahu defies Biden on Rafah offensive. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has refused to call off a major ground offensive against Hamas militants at the southern tip of the Gaza Strip, shrugging off a U.S. warning that the operation will kill more civilians and worsen a humanitarian crisis in the Palestinian enclave. Like I've said a long time ago, this is an extermination operation. This isn't about anything else other than wiping out as many Palestinians as possible. It says here, we have a disagreement with the Americans about the need to enter Rafah, Netanyahu told Israeli lawmakers on Tuesday, one day after U.S. President Joe Biden urged him to cancel plans for storming Rafah. He added, we do not see a way to eliminate Hamas militarily without destroying these remaining battalions. We are determined to do it. The White House warned on Monday after Biden's 45-minute telephone call with Netanyahu that a major ground operation in Rafah would be a mistake. Summing up the call, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told reporters it would lead to more innocent civilian deaths, worsen the already dire humanitarian crisis, deepen the anarchy in Gaza, and further isolate Israel internationally. Biden had previously insisted that Israel provide a credible plan for preventing civilian casualties in Rafah before launching its offensive, but with rising political fallout over Palestinian civilian casualties, he has taken a tougher stance against Netanyahu. The U.S. President expressed support on Friday for U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer after the lawmaker gave a speech arguing that Netanyahu had lost his way and become an obstacle to peace in the region. The war erupted when, it goes back to why this all started and all that. It says the Israel Defense Forces announced last week that displaced civilians will be moved to humanitarian islands north of Rafah before the ground offensive begins. Those refugees will provide temporary shelter, food, and water, IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari said. Netanyahu approved IDF's Rafah plan on Friday. But here's the thing. Even when they moved to where they are now, as they were on their way, trying to get there, trying to seek refuge, the IDF was bombing them. Innocent civilians. They were just slaughtering them. Hell, it wasn't but a couple, 2-3 weeks ago that they showed up for humanitarian help and the IDF just opened fire on them and then turned around and blamed it all on them when there's video clearly showing otherwise. Man, I don't know. But some things are looking up. Viagra might prevent Alzheimer's, said study. Sildenafil, and I probably said that wrong, the generic name for Viagra, may not only treat erectile boing-boing dysfunction, but pulmonary arterial hypertension and pulmonary arterial hypertension. Well, yeah, because if you're getting it, your blood pressure is going to be lower. I'm just saying. But also ward off cognitive decline, according to research published by the Cleveland Clinic Genome Center earlier this month. The authors of the study, published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease on March 1, found that those who took sildenafil, I probably still got that wrong, were 30 to 54% less likely to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. The researchers used real-world patient data from the MarketScan Medicare Supplemental Database 2012-2017 and the ClinFormatics Database 2007 to 2020 to arrive at the conclusion. The research was focused on those taking sildenafil or 4 comparator drugs, including, bumetanide, furosemide, spironolactone, and nifedipine. Comparators are existing marketed drug products or new drugs in development, including placebo versions. Gender, age, race, and concurrent diseases of the patients were also factored in. The study concluded that the use of sildenafil was associated with reduced likelihood of Alzheimer's relative to the control drugs. The results also showed the drug activates genes and neurons that affect cell growth, improve brain function, and reduces the risk of inflammation. Well, I guarantee you that somebody that's getting it is going to have more of an active brain than somebody who's not. Okay, maybe not, but it's a fun assumption. So anyway, we used artificial intelligence, to integrate data across multiple domains, with which all indicated sildenafil's potential against this devastating neurological disease. Well, I'm just butchering the English language and Latin while I'm at it. Says Fixiong Ching, director of the Cleveland and Mandarin now, and director of the Cleveland. There we go. Cleveland Clinic Genome Center, who led the study. I'm going to stop with that because they're going to throw more Latin at me and I'm going to have a stroke or something. Anyway. My watch is telling me low battery. No kidding. I'm surprised that thing still works. But I think the battery's about shot. Because, I get about half a day out of a battery, which it never was a lot more than that. But now it charges up, or at least claims to charge up, super fast. Probably by the time I'm done reading headlines, it'll have 100% charge. It's crazy. Never was that quick. It would take a little longer. It'd take probably 2-3 times as long to fully charge than what it does now. I can't complain, no, man. That's the first version of the TicWatch E. And it still works. It's several years old. It still works. I don't do a lot. It's usually just used mainly to get rid of notifications off my phone. But it works great for that. I don't use it to do my taxes. I don't use it, Anyway, NVIDIA announces plan for AI-powered humanoid robots. Aren't you excited? Says here, NVIDIA has announced the new AI project aimed at creating humanoid robots that are capable of learning new skills and solving complex tasks by studying human behavior. Oh, give me 3 of them. Lord knows what they'd wind up doing. In a press release on Monday, the company also unveiled a state-of-the-art computing platform named Jetson Thor. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Which is specifically designed to be used by the humanoid robots. Several significant upgrades to its Isaac robotics platform were also announced, including generative AI foundation models and tools for AI workflow. The new project is called GROOT because why not? Which stands for Generalist Robot 00 Technology. It is intended to serve as a platform to enable robots to understand natural language and emulate movements by observing human actions, quickly learning coordination, dexterity, and other skills in order to navigate, adapt, and interact with the real world. the U.S.-based company said. That's kind of creepy. In a keynote presentation, NVIDIA founder and CEO Jensen Huang demonstrated several real-life robots already using the Groot platform to complete a variety of tasks and showed that robots could also develop skills through a digital twin in the newly announced Isaac Lab virtual reality simulation. Well, considering that I have seen DARPA's robot like doing parkour, yeah. Building foundation models for general humanoid robots is one of the most exciting problems to solve in AI today. You mean that it's the most profitable when it comes to military conflict or contracts, right? Right. He added that the enabling technologies are coming together for leading roboticists around the world to take giant leaps towards artificial general robotics and huge military contracts. Agility Robotics co-founder and chief robot officer Jonathan Hurst also announced a partnership with NVIDIA, saying such advancements in the field of AI will pave the way for robots such as his company's Digit to help people in all aspects of daily life. Last year, Huang stated that AI was bound to transform the corporate landscape and change human jobs forever, and warned that those who failed to embrace this technology would be killed. Oh no, would be left behind. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Meanwhile, a recent Washington State University survey has found that about 1/3 of American workers are I'm sorry, I couldn't resist it. Are concerned that AI will soon make certain jobs obsolete, while nearly half fear they could be left behind in their careers if they fail to keep up with how to use the technology in the workplace. Oh my goodness. The dangers of AI have also been highlighted by a number of researchers and tech luminaries such as Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, who last year signed an open letter demanding a temporary moratorium on giant AI experiments to allow for the creation of guidelines to prevent misuse of the technology. Whew. So yeah, and all that stuff. Telling ya, they're gonna iRobot us. I know they are. Alright, I need coffee. Oh, goodness. And nicotine, because those are the two things that I live on. Oh, man. But I got through all those articles in a fairly good amount of time. I'm just glad my CPU fan is straightened up and decided to fly right. That thing has given me a fit off and on. And knock on fake wood, but here as of lately, I haven't had to take the side off the computer and help it out. Because I'd have to do that once in a while, and once it ran for a little bit and got warmed up and everything, it was fine. But just from a cold start for a while, it was giving me hell. But I don't know, been doing really well. Maybe tomorrow morning, I might get back in some VTOL VR and get my face blown off some more. I enjoy that game. I really do. Oh, and there's another one. I forgot. I downloaded another one that was like free, called like Aces High 3 or something like that, I think. That was a free one. So, heck yeah, I'm all about that. Well, it's one of those free-to-play ones, which basically means if you don't spend a bunch of money, a lot of people are going to be shooting you in the face. But, why not? Okay. Headlines. EU boss calls for... Oh, I covered that. Dumbass. Catastrophic hunger has gripped Gaza, says global watchdog. Ukraine conflict won't end this year, says Turkey. Erdogan considering military operations in Iraq and Syria. France backs push to curb grain imports from Ukraine, says Politico. Ex-Russian president reacts to Germany's Putin snub. Let's see. NATO troops active in Ukraine, says El País. Top U.S. senator tells Ukraine to draft younger soldiers. Yeah, get them, So, okay, you let them be able to start walking. But once they can start walking, draft them in. Let's see. Letter of Norman Brigade mercenary group killed in Ukraine. Leader. Why did I say letter? I don't know. The leader of the Norman Brigade mercenary group killed in Ukraine. It really doesn't matter, though, now if it's leader, because... Yikes. Ukraine losses in the millions, says retired Polish general. French deputy mayor suspended for observing Russian election. How dare you? EU preparing tariffs on Russian grain, says Financial Times. Revenues double at Russian McDonald's replacement. Well, that's McGreat. Ukraine, now I'm hungry. Ukraine may require dictatorship to survive, says Zelensky party MP. Oh, well, yeah, that's what all the great leaders say. German living standards and unprecedented... Oh, I covered that. Trump hints he would deport Prince Harry. Oh, well, there's another reason to vote for him. No, I'm kidding. I don't really give a damn. Viagra. We already covered that. Things are looking up. Oscar-winning Ukrainian documentary called out for misleading images. Let's see. NATO won't bring stability to Caucasians. What? You racist, says the Kremlin. Let's see. ECB pressuring banks to leave Russia. Russian military hits Ukrainian sabotage groups, or sabotogi, however you want to say it, groups near the border. Musk reveals drug use. I'm pretty sure that we already knew. But he's talking about ketamine, not about when he rolled and sparked up a joint. Let's see. CERN to cut ties with 500 Russia-linked specialists, says RIA. 2,000% surge in luxury car sales to ex-Soviet Republic. Not about Russia, says UK auto lobby. Ukraine wants Australia to censor pro-Putin documentary. Let's see. Trump says he could end Ukraine conflict through talks. Let's see. Ukrainian shelling of Russia kills beloved zoo animal. Covered that one too. And that one. NATO chief commits gaffe in Caucasian capital. Caucasian? That's not Caucasian. It can't be Caucasian. Racist. A Russian doctor set world record for removing metastases. Kind of like breastastases, but they weren't removing them. No, it was metastases. Ex-Trump aide reports to prison. EU state cancels pop concert over star's ties to Russia. Ukrainian region honors former Waffen SS fighter. Sweden accuses ex-Iraqi defense chief of welfare fraud. Not surprising. I don't think so. Texas can arrest illegal border crossers, says U.S. Supreme Court. And we got a number one up there because we couldn't get out of here without it. It says Canada to stop arms sales to Israel, says foreign minister. That's likely over the fallout of the whole Rafah thing, I'm betting. Anyway, I am going to get the heck out of here so I can get some rest. I did seriously have a long 2.5 days of video editing. I hate video editing. God, I hate video editing. It's like the most boring thing that I could ever do. So, howdy, Jason. You jump in right as I'm getting ready to head out. I am whooped. And yeah, I do think I'm going to take some time in the morning and get my face shot off. That sounds like a lot of fun. I really don't play very often. I don't. And I should probably take a little more time to just do stuff like that. But, yeah. I'm one of those people that I gotta keep at it. Anyway, I hear you, brother. I hear you about being tired. I am gonna get out of here, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for another round of nonsense, and we'll do it all over again. So, I appreciate y'all coming. Hope to see you tomorrow. And as always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.